Good morning, everyone. Microphone check. Screen check. Looks like awesome. Looks like everything is working correctly. Thank you, thank you. All right. Let's see here. Give me 1 second. I had to restart my computer this morning. And of course, you think you have everything that you want open, and then it's not. There we go. All right. Anyway. All right. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Hopefully you all had a fantastic weekend. For those of you on the VIP side of things, hopefully you enjoyed the VIP webinar and you found some usefulness out of that one. I was really excited about that one. I'm surprised I was able to fit it all in that one. Talk about right down to the buzzer. Jeez. If you haven't had a chance to watch it yet, though, for VIPs, if you go into the VIP section or the VIP zone, if you scroll down, you'll be able to find that recording there. If you weren't able to attend. As per the usual, before we jump on in this morning, make sure to read through the morning prep PDF on the right side there. Very important to understand everything that is inside there. Just a quick note for you all as well today, if you're jumping in on the YouTube side of things. The stream does have between a 5 and 30 second delay, which will definitely impact the timeliness of what I may be talking about at any given moment. And then, of course, I also just want to take a second, like we do every day, to thank all of our new members, subscribers, Academy students, VIPs, and everyone in between. Thank you all so much for the support. I'm super excited to have you all on board. Welcome to the SSFTG family. If you aren't a member yet of the family, you have several options. It sounds like the mafia when I say it like that. if you're not a member of the family yet, you have several options to check out if you're looking to further your trading education and career. The easiest way is to start out by joining as a member on YouTube. It gets you in the chat room and a bit more behind-the-scenes stuff of what's going on. Or if you want more information on how we do everything in our trading approach with over 19 hours of video course material and growing, swing over to the main page at ssftg.com for more info. So, whether you're here for the very first time or you're one of the VIP vets over on the dedicated stream, welcome. I'm glad to have you trading alongside of me today, analyzing these crazy markets of ours. Let's take a look at some news, take a look at some charts, see what all is happening for today. As per the usual, don't forget your morning DP levels. Those are posted for the major 7. NASDAQ, S&P, Gold, Crude, Euro, Bitcoin, and Ethereum. I don't know why I always give Ethereum more time. I think it's just because it's my long-term preference. It's always a race, though. As far as the news calendar is concerned, we only have one news announcement for today that's going to be at 10 o'clock. That's the pending home sales for July, forecasted 0.4%. Investing.com had their earlier news announcements this morning. I'm glad they backed them off. They used to call them or rank them 3-star ratings. But I'm glad they kind of backed them off and put them at 2. Either way. Hey, how's it going, Steven? Oh, and welcome. I just saw the little, I saw the thing pop up. Welcome, welcome. You got the blue badge. Yes, sir. Welcome. Awesome. Not a whole lot else to go on as far as the news is concerned. So, well, I guess let's jump on in. Don't forget, today we are approaching things a little bit differently. We're approaching things on the micro NASDAQ. So you'll notice the micro NASDAQ on the top left there. With the mentality of more of an entry, hard exit with a couple extra contracts in there, etc. Looking to try to get a trade going on a smaller scale. So rather than trading, way out in the future for 20 contracts on the mini, it might be 15 micros, which is only about 1.5. I see you're still on the 09 contract. Did the volume roll over? Hang on. Yeah, the volume didn't roll over. That's not even close. The 0921 contract is at 77,000 on the micro NASDAQ, and the micro NASDAQ 1221 is at 584. So there's definitely the September contract still, at least for another probably couple weeks. What's the first? Actually, this week is the first Friday of the month, right? Of September. So it probably won't roll until the week of the 17th for sure, but it probably won't volume roll until like the 10th or maybe the 13th of September. Over my birthday weekend. So we still have some time. All right. Taking a look at the daily chart. Starting off there. As far as the daily is concerned, we do have our typical repetitions that have been going on for quite a while. But in terms of the overall movement, we have our really strong bull bar right back into the highs, and obviously it's not time for the bears to rotate this lower. If we're looking at the nearer cycles, the nearest of cycles starts with a fresh low right here, technically speaking, I guess. So if we're going off of that, then realistically we've got, we've got, what is that? An L3 rotation. And the L3 rotation tried breaking up into a new high, but it didn't exactly do a whole lot. But L1 buyers were still there, interestingly enough. The L1 buyers still bought it back up for at least 2 days, and then rotated back down underneath it. That rotation led down to an L4. So with this break higher, an L4 is anticipated to find an L1, and we still haven't had that yet. So eventually, when we do get an L1, and maybe that's today, could you imagine pulling back and getting an L1 today, what that candle would look like? Having this big bull bar, a giant snapback, remember 7 and almost 8 hours left, with a rotation back to the upside. Oh man, juicy. So I'm really, really interested in potential pullbacks here. It's just got to, well, it's just got to pull back. But the L1 is right there. And again, if we go off of this was an L4 rotation. Almost barely, but let's see if they can get them back. As far as the 15-minute is concerned and looking at where we are, I mean, here, look, it's following the cycle. I mean, it's perfect. You know, we've got the 5-wave completion to the upside. We've got a 5-wave completion to the downside. It's a 5-wave ABCD, so we know that it's an ABCD and not a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because, well, very obvious rule breaks for an impulse. But after that rotation to the downside was finished, we went into another slightly sideways ABCD wedge formation right there. Okay, well, it wouldn't let me draw it up, but fine. Let me do it this way. There. So we've got the wedge that broke out aggressively to the upside, and you can see that definitively creates a very nice wave 1, wave 2, now strong breakout wave 3, which just keeps on going. This thing's like the Energizer Bunny. It doesn't stop. No new swing lows, major swing lows at least, nothing. Incredible amount of bullishness going on here. So really, this kind of gives us the thing that makes it so awkward is this funky, weird, in-between gross low. Technically, the low's over here, right? But they didn't launch until over here. This tells me, first off, that this is a disgusting wave 2. Okay? So, very obvious that this is a really out-of-whack wave 2, which means that wave 4 should be quick and decisive. Realistically, with that mentality, this little pullback right here might be all there is for a wave 4. And it just doesn't stop going up. Because that's the anticipation. The aggression here is because of how sloppy wave 2 was. Wave 4 buyers are coming in a lot more aggressively because, well, they don't feel like they have a whole lot of time left. It fits. Now, in terms of a volume profile look, one of the big things, obviously, that I want to see is who's in control. Now, from the bottom all the way to the impulse top, let's start off there, because we are dealing with a micro, so I want to reanalyze it kind of from the beginning. Hey, how's it going, Ace? Welcome. Long on the... Yeah, I don't blame you at all. I want to see where are they? You know, where's the rotation point? And one of the things that I love to see is a valid attempt from the sellers. Really drive the market down and show me that they're trying. And when they try and then they fail, that's the launching pad for the next leg up for the bulls, especially when a POC is way up at the top. You've got to wait for that. You've got to wait for that excess confirmation, which happened way over here. Now, a lot of that happened on, what was it, Powell speaking or whatever it was. It caused the market to go absolutely bonkers. But either way, you know, that's what you've really got to be waiting for. And from that perspective, if we were drawing from the lows, going all the way across to where they were at the time, right, before that crazy rip to the upside, you'll notice what happened before the crazy rip to the upside. All of the shorts who were trying to get the short to short, jeez, oh Pete, it's a Monday, don't try that one too quick. They failed, and now they're getting a chance to get out of break even before the news announcement. I mean, it looks like they took it, if you ask me. Pretty straightforward, jeez. And now we've rotated higher. Since that rotation higher, we are now putting in a top-weighted POC. Remember before, that POC was a little bit further back. If you go to this blow-off, a little further. Oh, great. Bug data. Fantastic. There we go. We've got this all the way up, and they don't put a POC up in the highs until right here. And since then, the market's gone above it, tried going down, barely made it, and is going higher again. There's just... Man, the shorts are under a lot of pressure right now. I could sing it. I really could, but I don't want to. It's Monday. I need more caffeine. 15,432 quarter is the POC at the moment that we're kind of leaving behind. Boom, 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 boom. So far this morning, there's not really a whole lot going on. I mean, really, the market's just kind of stagnating sideways. As far as the overall movement that we've got going on, I guess so far from the beginning of the session, we rotated up to a new high with a pretty, I guess, 3 pulses. I mean, very obvious first, very obvious is 2. There might be a second in there and then a third. I don't like it as much, but either way, nice, really nice drive to the upside that totally failed and rolled all the way back to the lows. So first off, I want to see what happened on that failure. We had the POC where? They got left behind in the middle, no surprise. As the market's rolling back, not seeing really anybody showing up to the party, a lot of volume building up, nothing until all the way down to the POC. So a lot of shorts who were short were given a chance to get out of break even, but it did roll further. So I'm curious, just out of pure curiosity's sake, does this give them an actual risk scalpers target? Just as like a total, you totally don't deserve it, scalpers. But here you go anyway. Welcome to the markets and how unfair it can be sometimes. We did get the scalpers objective to the downside. They were given a chance to get out of break even. It rolled underneath it. It looks like they re-upped right back into the short, dove it all the way down into the targets, where they eventually took the escape hatches for the rest of it. Totally undeserving, but again, it doesn't matter. With that giant roll to the upside and a huge roll to the downside that should have been a stop run, we still have scalpers objectives that are getting filled. Now, as we continue this a little bit further down to the new low, we have a POC that downshifts, which, I mean, again, that's not a huge surprise. We already know why. We've got sellers who are taking profit down here. But once we have this impulse area, this is the seller's chance to continue this to the downside. And, well, they tried, and then they failed. And then we've been rotating up ever since then. So that POC rotation really demonstrates what's going on here. I mean, if we draw it all the way across, we've got another one, sure. But the whole thing kind of sparked from that reversal right there. That point. That was the alligator's mouth snapping shut. You have a microsecond to get in. Hopefully you did. Probably didn't. I know how that goes. So we are seeing the bulls attempting to get this rotation back up. The earlier shorts who were short got out of their shorts. Undeserving shorts were still given scalps. Doesn't matter. Got the downside objective. And now with this rotation to the downside, we've got a kind of a wedge going on, really. If we were to use just a little bit of Friday, we've got a wedge low that's stepping up to the plate. Like this. Now, if we're not able to use Friday's low, which I typically don't like using previous sessions after a Sunday, looking at this next low and going up would suggest that we had a very aggressive bull channel, at the very least, maybe wedge, that's rotating its way higher. The market got sick of rolling off of the highs, chose to dip a little bit further, trapped everyone out underneath the lows who thought, hey, I'm going to buy the channel low and I'm going to put my stop underneath the low. Whoop-a-doo! We all know that that's a terrible spot. You're supposed to put them underneath confirmed swings, and this is why. The market came back, said, nope, rotating back up. I mean, the anticipation is back up to the highs. All of the longs who were trying to go long and got stopped out are now stuck in FOMO mode. The POC is all the way down at the bottom, too. Now upshifting a little bit. So from a cycle perspective, I mean, really off of the lows, we've got an L2 that rolled up into another L2, so you're expecting a third L2. They got an L3. So you're expecting that third L2 in the sequence, and it gives you an L3. That immediately tells you that, you know, okay, it can go back up, that's fine, but if it does go back up, I'm expecting the next pullback to be a lot deeper, and this potentially to be a short-term top. And sure enough, it was. It rolled all the way down to reclaim into an L3, almost pushed into an L4 on the base of that wick. That was also on the POC retest. So there's a lot of things that are lining up with that. Now that they had the L4, bulls are going to be looking for a continuation off of a 1. They got it. Another bounce off of a 1. They got it again. Buyers looking for the third one. They got that one too. The next one in the sequence is going to be the third, or the deeper L2, straight out of the textbooks here. Now, again, we have the bulls who bought the L2. Let's be real here. These bulls were given a bounce all the way up to here, and all they had to risk was this. So that's about a 3 or 4 to 1 actual risk. A lot of algos scalp out at those areas, and it looks like they did before the next dive down. Now, if they were buying into the next subsequent drop, that gave them a rally all the way back up into the L1. So we have to ask ourselves, really, like, if they're buying off of an L2, and they bought, you know, let's just average it in the middle and say they bought in the middle, putting it down to the lows. A 3 to 1 they didn't quite hit, but it... What? What just happened? Wo bist du meine Werkzeug? Where'd it go? Okay. I'm not exactly sure what happened there. Anyway, let me try that again. So we've got it in the middle, and we go down to the low. It does not fit a 3 to 1. Oh, I think I made it invisible. It's invisible. There it is. Well, whatever. So we'll put it to a 2 to 1, and you can see that they got their 2 to 1 objectives. So, I mean, can we really say that the longs that bought an L2, even though it didn't make a new high, can we really say that they failed? I don't think so, right? It doesn't fit. It doesn't make sense. They got a 2 to 1. So, I mean, all things considered, when we get this L3 in this next rotation up, I mean, it's feasible, but here again, we have a disappointing pullback. Bulls wanted an L2, they got an L3. It doesn't mean that it can't go back up to the highs, but when it does, I'm not necessarily going to be looking for a big follow-through. Right now, though, the upside is the objective. We'll see if it's able to get up there. But we do have a nice little bottom-weighted POC down here. Doesn't quite fit a 3 to 1, but it does fit a 2 to 1. I mean, I guess it depends on when it hits it. That should fit a 2 to 1 by then, right? Up into these, a retest of the inside lows? Yeah. It fits. We've got 9 minutes until the open still. Got a little bit of time. You know what stands out even more? Just you know what stands out even more is how many traders are going to put a stop underneath this low. And man, do I like that a heck of a lot more. Because I don't believe that stop at all. I think the logical stop is underneath this low. Man, I like that a lot more. Now, a couple different ways. Let's use this. Got 8 minutes still. Yeah, exactly. Yep. The idea behind it is going to be a lot more restrictive in a sense, but in the same regard, having the overall mentality be the same as what we've always been doing. There's no change. It's just the approach is a lot more restrictive, more from the mindset of a smaller account trader who can't just buy bid, sell, ask, buy bid, buy bid, buy bid, and scale in and scale out. Something that's a bit more restrictive in nature. Although it may not necessarily be as fun to watch, it's more realistic for a lot of people. So I totally understand the desire to see it, The morning prep for the other markets we've already gone through all of them. I mean, or no, did we, or didn't we? Did we just jump straight into the NASDAQ and I just went down the rabbit hole? I might have. It's definitely possible. Actually, I mean, looking at my charts, I don't have any drawings on there, and I don't remember actually going over them. I think we just jumped straight down the rabbit hole. Whoops. So you guys got to tell me to stop that, man. Come on. I mean, that's really funny. So we've got a couple minutes here. Make sure that this is. I mean, this is the nice thing about it. Everything's all set out for me, Anyway. So we've got the S&P, which has, I mean, here again, really, really incredible bullish strength to the upside. But my concern here is that we've got wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, wave 5. It's more likely that we go into a sideways corrective nature. It doesn't have to pull back, but corrective nature makes a bit more sense. So slower to move up, maybe. This could still be a completion of a 5th wave. 5 waves do tend to go on for a while. Over on gold, man, what a snapback. We know what that snapback was, too. When we go across, my volume's bugged. There we go. When we come back to it as a snapback to that POC, that fantastic long, all the way back to the upside. Incredible bounce. Nutso move. And now we're rallying back up. Maybe trying to get some type of a descending wedge or a flag going on. Still kind of early to the party, though. Would really like to wait to see some form of a volume shift as proof, which they haven't quite gotten yet. Over on crude, just a big dive to the downside. I mean, really. What are they probably gunning for, right? I mean, what was that POC that they left behind? It looks like they probably already got it. Yeah. Ooh, no, they missed it. Ooh, spicy. So they missed it down there on the lows, and now we're rotating back up. So if it does go down one more time, you know exactly where the market's going to try to pick it up at. Right there, 67.60. If that fails, though, There's support down to like the 67.10s, lower 67s, but if there's nothing there, there's nothing until like 65.50 after that. Pretty vicious if that doesn't hold. Big rally to the upside. 4 minutes to go until the open. Over on the euro, I mean, it's rotating back to the upside again. We've got that really strong rally, and here again, if we go from the bottom to the top on the impulse, we know that it was nothing more than shorts just jumping ship and rotating all the way back up. Now, if we continue this further in cycling what's happening, there's been no POC shift, but if it does want to pull back, the 17,570s would be a nice little zone of interest to pick it up off of. And they may also have a nice little confirmed POC in there too. Yeah, which is right back in the 565s. I like that more. Except the data's bugged, so I've got to go over here to get it. There we go. Nice continuation of the upside, 928 around the corner. Not crude oil. Over on Bitcoin, still pulling back lower highs and a possibility of a pretty nasty looking trap over here. A lot of bulls who tried getting the breakout jumped ship, and now we're seeing it pull back a lot deeper. If the bulls are going to hold this, they're going to really need to do some work down here. I don't want to draw a POC on this. Lord knows what happens when I do, but it's likely a nice little zone somewhere around the 47,000s, right? 47,200s in that zone. Is going to be the zone of interest for bulls to try to hold it up. And if they get like another lower high, this could be that bigger rotation that we were talking about for quite a while, actually. Over on Ethereum, similar situation, tons of resistance up at 33.50. Now we've got another lower high, lower high. They tried going up above and failed, double topped basically. Actually, it was technically a lower high. And then we've got 3 of them. So a breakdown here is a big problem. Market rotating back down again. If we're looking at the overall cycle, we have not broken a new high yet. Dang it. Got the L3. It's rotated up. L3s usually want to see those L1s. They got 3 of them. Then they were looking for a deeper pullback, which just gave them another L3. Now, I guess technically, we've got 2 L3s back to back. Maybe we have a rep L3. Not very frequent you get one of those, but they're trying. Got 30 seconds until the open. Another zone of interest is in the 48s on that previous POC, but I would really love to see the open trap a low. We'll see. S&P is opening with a little bit of a gap. Technically speaking, it's still an outside gap to the upside. The POC that was left behind on Friday, 45.06. Yikes. Ooh, okay, we're starting to run. Now, if we just left behind 2 L2s. Looking for the third L2 in the sequence. Looks like the bulls are still holding those L1s. All right. Now we have an L2, L2 into an L1, L1. I would still rather wait for the L2, I gotta say. Whew. All right. Very, very strong breakout continuation. No pullbacks. It keeps moving. Now, from the 15-minute perspective, the market is breaking into all-time highs again. Very strong continuation. Sheesh. Now, if we start all the way back a little bit, because now this is starting to give us a larger rotation where we can use Friday. This is a full breakout off of an L5. A full breakout off of an L5 tells us there's an L2. So. Hey presto, still looking for the same thing. So that's kind of the zone of interest that we're looking for here. And if it dips into there, we've got problems. One of these days, we'll find an L2. Maybe not today. Maybe not tomorrow. You guys remember that Simpsons episode? The very next day. Still looking for the L2. Still no pullback. Buyers are continuing to hold the L1s, which is fine. We are in a very strong L1 sequence. So we've got L1 off of... missed it. They finally got it. Another L1. I'm still looking for that deeper reset on the L2 for the much more higher reward potential on the dip. Or it just never pulls back. I mean, there's that too. Now look at the S&P. The S&P is not doing a thing. It's like, what's happening? Yo, NASDAQ, what are you doing? 45.15 quarter is the POC on the S&P on the first 5. There's that way as far as a reduced risk, but in terms of the overall risk, that's not... I mean, we're still only looking at about 13, so... The other alternative is a slightly wider initial risk. And even that still puts it at about 30, 28, 30. Still no pullback yet. I mean, this is just non-stop, straight up. I mean, look at the 5-minute bars. Sheesh. We've got the 935 bar, which is the volume node back here at 71 quarter. And we drive that forward. Oh, 15,500 is a big POC. A lot of volume shifting up, and obviously a lot of bulls taking profit. My concern is that the next pullback realistically isn't going to make it all the way back up to highs. I'm still anticipating a bounce off of L2, L3, but it's more likely going to be a lower high scenario at this point. This swing has gone so far up now that when it does pull back, we can't expect it to go all the way back up to the top. At least not immediately. Not to say it can't. Okay. More continuation to the upside. The S&P is up to the POC again at 15 quarter. On the 15-minute perspective, we are now clearing very obviously into highs. All-time highs, breaking really, really far up. They are certainly not being shy about this rally. Sheesh. Alright. We can actually modify this to be like somewhat aggressive, not so aggressive type scale out mentality too, which adds another layer of context. Even more interesting. Maximum risk is down to 28 bucks, and that still allows a 3-to-1 up to the top. So, from an Elliott wave perspective, does a rally like this reset everything? No, not necessarily. Usually a rally like this is telling you that they are probably in a wave 3.
So if we look at this backward a little bit and start off from the beginning over here, because again, this is a big enough move where we can go back to Friday now. So looking back at Friday, we've got this really obvious low, wave 1, wave 2, really nasty wave 2 in here, but generally speaking, wave 2, which leads into wave 3. So wave 4, wave 5. From this perspective, you know, I mean, again, perspective is everything. If you're looking at it on a 5-minute chart, it might look different, but... Yeah, the ES went right up to the POC and just straight back down again. Like, it's just looking over at the NASDAQ like, bro, what are you doing? Stop. It's too much. Calm down, man. Take a breather. It's okay. Of course, old ES over there is zen as normal. Oh, the world's erupting? Bonds is still taking a nap. Got one leg out of bed, you know. Every market has their personality. The Russell's over there like Scrat from Ice Age, cracked out in the corner trying to get into the next trade. I love Scrat. I love the oddball characters. Hey. It's another one of my favorites. Machiavelli in more recent times. I love the pets. I think it's what it comes down to. I like the pets. Anyway. Market's still pulling back a little bit. Now, again, there are a couple different ways that we can break this risk down. I'm approaching it in a way that we're tiering out of risk rather than increasing risk. I would rather decrease risk in this type of structure from a smaller account building type perspective. Now, another perspective would be saying, well, technically, this is an L2 until it hits an L3. So buyers will buy the whole way down until it hits an L3, and then they'll realize they're wrong. So a lot of stops will go in the L3s, underneath the L3s. A lot of traders will start adjusting their approach when it hits L3s, thinking now they got to get out, that type of mentality. We're still holding these L1s, but again, I really want an L2. Based on the pattern, that's what I'm looking for. Man, I used baking soda all over, like a whole 1 pound box across the mattress to try to, like, you know, just make it smell deodorized. This is normal cleanup stuff. And I don't know what the filter was on the vacuum just a little bit sideways. And it was my wife was vacuuming, and it was me hovering over the vacuum, and she hit that first patch, and it was just this giant puff of baking soda right in the just right in the face. Oh man, you remember those shows where like the guy's face is in the muffler and he looks back and his whole face is just dirty? Yeah. Oy vey. Starting to get to the bottom of L1. It was an interesting weekend. Had a flat tire. What a mess. I don't even know from what. Side note, I am going to be gone this afternoon because I'm going to be going to the tire repair shop. So, if you've got emails or anything like that, forgive me if it takes a minute to respond. 9:45, we've got 10 o'clock around the corner. Still waiting for the L2. Still waiting for the overall pattern to come to fruition. If we're looking at this from a volume perspective, we've got, let's see, from the top down so far, the market is attempting to break above it now.
So there will be some longs who are taking this from 98s to 500s with a stop underneath the low, looking for a continuation up. I like it for the L2, but we can see that they're trying to get it to rotate. Market's just hovering. So at the moment, risk is at 1650, 32, and 48. So it's starting to creep up there a little bit further. If this does make another new high, I'm likely going to be approaching this from a more restrictive L2, in that the bottom of it is going to be stopping out more of them. I'm also going to reduce a little bit of the bottom-sided risk. The market is beginning to flux back above that POC. So again, from a short-term corrective standpoint, bulls are taking charge. This isn't the pattern that I was looking for, which is a bit of a bummer, but it's there. S&P still hasn't gone anywhere. POC has shifted down though, so 1275 is the POC. That allows it a lot more momentum potential. Five-minute POC still at 15,500. Bears unable to get underneath it. Upside candle gapping is absolutely gargantuan. But it's there. Sheesh. Let's see. What kind of targets? They're almost there. Candle gap targets at 520 quarter. Whoa, nope, that's too much. POC shifting to the upside, 511.50. Still anticipating the L2, and we haven't broken a new high. Now, if it does break above the new high and continue, that would be more kind of not so anticipated. So buyers may start trying to pick up off the 1150s, but realistically, the L2 is what I'm looking for. Still, POC on the S&P is now closing above. 1275 is that zone. Looking at this from a microstructure, again, the bulls have it, right? I mean, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? We're probably going up. I want the deeper pullback, and I have to wait for that deeper pullback because we're following
the full cycles, the full structure. We're making sure that we're sticking to the rules a bit more actively. And, well, that's what it is right now. We don't have any other pullbacks. The other consideration is looking at a significantly closer picture. I think, all right, well, this more recent low rotation was an L4. They did hold the L1, that little bitty pullback right there. They held another L1. There's an L2. Not exactly what I'm looking for, but... Five-minute original POC on the S&P is back at 15.25, but it has since shifted down to 12.75. Got 10 o'clock around the corner in about 8 minutes. So now that I've kind of gotten a feel for this a little bit more, this is obviously a little bit of a slower mentality, so we might be able to fit a couple extra markets in here if we're going to approach it this way. Maybe like the micro. I don't want to delve too deep into the same thing, you know. As if I'm long on the S&P, I'm probably going to be long on the Dow or the Nasdaq or any of the others. But maybe micro crude's too fresh. I don't want to jump into that one yet. I would consider regular crude again, but I guess it depends on how well it moves. Might be a consideration though. I mean, if it's like this where we've only got like maybe 1 or 2 setups during the day, because I know that we've only got the morning session, then it makes more sense to either watch more or zoom into even a faster time frame. I mean, we're at a 125 tick right now, but I still am waiting for the L2. Alright, and now we have another break to a new high. More continuation back up. Looking at the larger sequence of things off of that rotation, remember, we are coming off of an L5, off of the Friday's low. But if we take the next low and say, well, you know, we're not getting that pullback to L2 yet, does something else make sense here? Similar to Elliott Wave, when something's just, it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing, then we've got to recalibrate a little bit and look backwards. So beginning from the low that started off the week after Sunday, we kicked off, the deepest one was an L3, which rotated into another L3. The only thing that would potentially suggest after an L3 breakout would be an L1. And the final L3 breakout did hold the L1 right there. So we've got the L1. Continue back up for another one. They didn't quite hit it. Looking for another one. Didn't hit it. Looking for another one. Didn't hit it. Jeez. So we've got the first L1, the second L1, and then we've got the third L1, which is this latest pullback. It's setting up in a really disgusting way because of the larger swing taking place. I think the majority of traders were looking at that, but we are cycling up either way. Now, here's the kicker, right? After three, for you Academy members in chat or whatever, you know, after you've got 3 consecutive big L1s, what are we looking for? Right? I mean, okay, well, right back to the chopping block, I guess. Here we go, waiting for an L2. So, same story. Well, actually a different story, same outcome. That's how we know we're on the right side of things. We're looking at it from the right perspective. We just got to, like, get it there. Where's the low one? Man, if it could pull back where it is now. That would allow one of the most obvious traps on the lows I think you could possibly ask for. Look at that zone. Ooh. Man, that's tasty. That's a real nice zone right there. Yeah, so how do you get into the extended session? So I post a link in Discord. If you haven't logged into Discord, go into the communities page. Now that you're in the member side of things, go into the communities page. It'll give you all the info on like all the links and everything. But I post them in Discord every time before we start them all up. Unless you're already in Discord, I never remember. And like I always say, if you're going to be jumping into the Discord chat and you haven't yet, try to keep a similar name so I know who you are. Like, if your name on here is Steven, but your name on Discord is, you know, BTFD Snatcher 420, I'm not going to know who that is. You know? And yeah, you can take that username if you want. You know, that's fine. I don't have that one. Yeah, and that's the thing. I know a lot of people probably already have Discord, especially if they're into gaming or if their kids are into gaming or whatever. So you might have a different name. If that's the case, just shoot me an email, jhb@ssftg.com. Or add me on Discord and just send me a message. Say, hey, this is so-and-so from... You know, that way I know who you are. Got 2 minutes until 10 o'clock. Again, kind of getting a feel for the approach here, the slightly slower mentality of things. And obviously, we might have to modify a little bit, adding a couple markets, or maybe even zooming in just a little bit closer and taking the nearer term, more like an algo, if you will. Instead of focusing on these larger ones, literally looking at these like this. That's a tough one right there, that first L1, but maybe the second and the third. S&P bulls are starting to demonstrate just a tiny bit of candle gapping. We are also back to the POC where it was originally. The first 5 is also now the developed POC 15 quarter, breaking a new high. Upside momentum for the S&P. As far as the candle gapping is concerned, that suggests upside price targets of 45, 20, 75. Got a little ways to go. I kind of like I mean, I gotta be honest, I kind of like the idea of sticking more on the micro scale like this because the risk is so much smaller. You know, way out here, granted it wasn't this big when we first started looking for this one, but... Hitting 10 o'clock. New high plotted. Yeah, let me measure off the right thing first, though. That might help. Sorry, I know we're supposed to transition, but I'm not about to miss the pattern I've been waiting all morning for either. No thanks. All right, anyway. starting to rally back up to the highs. Looks like we've got a second. So I'm not seeing any other questions coming in on the YouTube side of things to as we finish up the morning here. So let's transition over to the extended session. Again, I'll post that link in Discord, and if you're having trouble logging in, then just let me know. But gotcha. Okay. All right. Invite to. Boop. There. You should have the invite. All right. Anyway, that should take care of that. But if not, just message me on Discord. You're already on there with me. So, otherwise, though, for the rest of you, if you're going to be ducking out, I hope you had a fantastic morning. And yeah, we'll go from there. All right. Enjoy the rest of the day. And if you have any questions that need a little bit more answering, you can shoot me an email, jhb@ssftg.com. But that'll do it. Have a great one. We'll talk to you all tomorrow. Thanks.